As spirits disincarnate and move to the astral plane, new colonies need to be founded to account for the growing spiritual population, helping to group two spirits according to their moral adiantamento. While on Earth the creation of new human colonies can be facilitated by the organization of material needs, such as food and shelter, not astral or challenge is even greater, because the spirits possess different psychic and moral conditions. The foundation of colonies depends on the ability to harmonize these diverse energies and promote the spiritual renewal of its inhabitants. Just as cities on Earth are modernized as science and culture advance, spiritual colonies are also updated to meet the new vibrational and spiritual patterns that emerge. The Great Heart Metropole, for example, is a spiritual colony located in the astral, and described as an example of evolution. It was founded by disembodied spirits in Brazil and, as a time, turned into a spiritual relief and education center, receiving spirits from different parts of the world, who, after their deaths, would gather and contribute to the spiritual progress of the colony. The spiritual administration of planet Earth is organized on hierarchical levels, with the metropole of the Great Heart representing a region of responsibility over Brazil. Furthermore, there are other communities that oversee larger geographic regions, including entire continents. The last and highest direction of the planet is linked to the spiritual rule of Jesus, who exerts his influence over all of Earth. There are selfless spirits who dedicate themselves to founding spiritual colonies in difficult foreign regions, facing harmful and aggressive substances. These spirits, often sacrificing their own well-being, purify the environment and transform dark and chaotic areas into places of spiritual healing and renewal. Even the highest spirits, if we strive to act in dense and aggressive astrological regions, need to adjust their vibration and face risks and challenges. Spiritual immunity is related to moral restraint and not to total protection against environmental influences. In astralized colonies, there are also spirits who still maintain extremely conservative costumes, imprisoned by ancient traditions, as they still live in the past. These colonies, second, are only temporary and serve as places of learning for those spirits who need to overcome or become attached to ancient ways of living. These spirits are described as peaceful, but mentally stagnant, immersed in an environment that reflects the medieval times, with castles, rustic bridges, and transportation of animals. The architecture of these colonies is described as antiquated, designed to give the inhabitants a feeling of familiarity, since many would not be able to adapt to a more modern environment due to their psychological resistance to moving. This is due to the fact that, even after physical death, the spirits continue to carry with them the marks of the experiences lived on Earth, including their beliefs and mental conditions. These colonies serve as a form of reintegration for spirits who, despite being virtuous, still do not develop the capacity to adapt to new ways of life or more dynamic environments. By the way, these souls remain in ancient colonies, living in an environment that corresponds to their pace of evolution. Over the suffering of disembodied souls, there are souls that appear as dark auras contaminated by hate. However, there are also souls that stand out, those who, even involved in conflict, are not dominated by hatred and will manage to maintain their spiritual peace. As astralized colonies are not only fixed and permanent. When spirits are transformed, or saya, when they overcome their attachments to the past, they can abandon these antiquated communities and ascend to higher spiritual environments, which are more suitable for their new state of evolution. Even on the terrestrial plane, progress is uneven, with some people more advanced spiritually, even living in a physical body that is not present, while others still remain mentally backward. The astral world reflects, in many aspects, the diversity of evolutionary patterns that also manifest on Earth. Thus souls, on the spiritual plane, continue to evolve, and in their journey, some adapt quickly, while others remain attached to the past. There are astronomical colonies on lower planes, inhabited by treacherous spirits that maintain the characteristics of two human vices, such as luxury and cruelty. These entities influence the incarnated to commit mistakes and perpetuate cycles of suffering, but at the same time, they help us not rescue lost souls, and not pay them for their divided spirits. The question of spiritual nationalism is approached with a deeper understanding. As the Stri colonies are not only formed based on racial or national affinities, but rather in accordance with spiritual virtues. Spirits of different origins can be grouped together in colonies, where they share qualities such as sincerity, devotion to spirituality, and material detachment. Despite having foreign colonies associated with different countries, nationalism and separation between nations are only seen as secondary and temporary aspects, once all spirits belong to the same universal family. A separation by nations or races on the astral plane is a reflection of education and the progress of two spirits, which in the future will reach a more broad and universal state of unity, where the concepts of nationality and race will lose their importance. Over the course of several incarnations, spirits can change nationality and race, which helps to weaken the pride of the country and divide it between different peoples. The idea is that spirits are becoming more universalistic, leaving behind their attachment to national and racial borders as they evolve spiritually. When spirits reincarnate in new countries, they need to adapt not only to the physical environment, but also to the psychic and cultural field of their place. Spirits who move from country to country can face challenges, such as adapting to different ways of thinking, religion, and values, or what can affect their life experience. Spiritual migration is an opportunity for growth, and each spirit brings with it a spiritual baggage, but must adjust to new realities of life and culture. The spirit that goes through several incarnations in different locations on the planet is assimilating characteristics of different cultures, or that contributes to its spiritual evolution and expansion for a more universal vision. These teachings suggest that true brotherhood and universal love are achieved when human beings, as immortal spirits, overcome the barriers of selfishness, nationalism, and preconception, recognizing the unity of all beings as part of a great universal consciousness. If you have reflected on nationalism, reincarnation is in search of true spiritual learning. Inscribasi the channel, and there is no outline of leaving a like to support our work. Together, we will explore ever more deeply into our spirit. See you next time.